We finally got it on the road. Abandoned. 15 years, sat in a field and just rotted into the ground. I get a hold of the thing, did a bunch of work to it. We got it moving. It's driving under its own power. Follow along, show you all the stuff that we had to do to get this 1980 Georgie Boy GBX Class B motorhome back up on the road. Hello, I'm Ron with Ron's Classic RVs. I'm shooting this little series here to show you guys what it takes to get old RVs going again. Now you buy them for cheap, dirt cheap. Sometimes you get them for 500 bucks. Sometimes they're even free. This one here cost me $1,500. I thought I got a pretty good deal on it because it's a fiberglass body. We did an introduction video to it where we just got it, took a little tour around it, cleaned it up, and got it weatherproof so, you know, it wouldn't rain us and go and leak into it. Our second video showing all the systems on it that need to be serviced or repaired. A lot of things to look at on these things. Just because it's only got like 60,000 miles, but it's 25 years old, 30 years old, it's not that great of a deal because all the stuff still rots on it. These are the things that need to be replaced. This video here showed you some of the stuff that I've done to it. The systems, we completely rebuilt the cooling system on it, fuel system on it, carburetor, intakes, lots of things that had to go on to get her going down the road. This thing had some issues. But enough to listen to me yap. Sit back with a couple cold ones, spend a little time with me, watch this fun video. Now that once you get this radiator out of this old girl, you can really get in there and see that. You see that blue right there? That's bad, okay? And it's even worse over here. So that's one of the reasons why you rebuild your radiator right there. This is the oil cooler for the engine, and that is the oil cooler for the transmission right there. Them two, those ones right there. And once you get the radiator out, you could almost root around in here and do a little bit of work. I can actually see the front of the engine some. This is getting better and better the more I take stuff out. Right there is a prime example of why you got to take your radiators in and get them rotted out. Because the, them cores, they're plugged from shitty water being in there. I just noticed that right now loading this up. Wanted to share it. Now that I've been taking this apart for 2.5 hours now, we got down to where we could see the water pump. And we could see the engine because we got all that stuff out of the way. This is the reason why I wanted to replace this water pump. There's bearings in here, and the bearings are supposed to be tight, and it wobbles, and you can see that we're getting a significant amount of wobble when I lift up and down on this output shaft. This is why, even though this isn't leaking, this is why I'm just gonna replace it, because it's gonna. Yep, that crack just about went all the way around. There's just a little bit still, it's good on, it's right there, it's fine. And I could have got another. This was kind of a pain to pull out. There's not a lot of room in it. But if you got a really smart parts guy down at your parts place, they can set you up with a new one. Dorman apparently makes a whole bunch of replacement manifolds. And this one here, they took care of that cracking problem by adding an extra rib in, maybe, I guess, I don't know. Just, that's what I'm guessing. Took me about an hour and a half to get this out. Them bolts were rusted. They were quite the buggers down in there. Yep, we're gonna do a delete on these air injection ramification pipes right there. We got that new manifold jammed in down in there. It wasn't easy, there's not a lot of room for it. And I decided, well, let's go ahead and get this valve covers taken off and cleaned up, and well, now we got the intake that we're gonna take off. It had the old cast iron spread bore on it with the wrong carburetor. So I figured, well, I'm this close, I might as well put a Performer dual plane on it. Yep, because it matches the carburetor a lot better. We're going to have better, I think it's going to be better. A little bit of painting, a little detailing on it while we're cleaning everything up. Just never ends. But you can see once you get that engine all taken apart, boy, you can really get in there and work on her. I'm waiting for parts to show up, like a brand new radiator. So this gives me something to make pretty and do. Apparently the entire country, or at least Billings, Montana, is out of GM corporate blue. So I gotta go up to the LT1 paint scheme and paint everything black. God, I didn't want to do that. I wanted it to be GM corporate blue, but I can't find any. I can't. I tried doing that blue right there, and it's too much like Ford. I don't want people picking on me because I painted it the wrong color. Now that we got the engine all kind of whooped into shape, we need to take these wires and fix them. They've been burned to an absolute crisp. I'm going to cut out the burn part and then solder in some new wire along with some heat shrink tubing, and then get this back in this. And then, you know, I got more of this stuff. I can get this all whooped into shape so it looks nice and pretty. Well, that ought to fix her up. Put some of this stuff in right here. Zip tie her down and clean up this wire. I've been plugging away on this thing now for about a week, I suppose, doing stuff that's got to be done. Let me kind of show you what we've worked on here already so far. We've been updating the cooling system. We're fixing it. We're doing all the things that could possibly break. I didn't get much video of this. We've got the water pump in that's back under here, and we've got the new belts on. So it's got an alternator belt and water pump. This is the AC belt right in here. And then there's a new power steering pump that's down under there, over in that area. Cleaned up our fan and our viscous clutch. It's in good shape. Got a new thermostat in our thermostat housing. And we've replaced so much stuff. Put a new intake manifold on it. We'll get a better view of this a little bit later. Had to put in a PVC valve because it did not have it. Had to put in vacuum lines that go up to run this heater flap over here for the AC. We had to run a vacuum hose here for the distributor advance. Air cleaners, oh my goodness, there's so much stuff that's been gone. And this here's the dream daddy I've been waiting for. My brand new radiator. Some of the components that's got to be put into place. Upper and lower heater hoses, radiator cap. This is what we're going to be fighting with right now. This is the heater core. This one, it was disconnected. They had the hoses were just cut right off of it, and it was bypassed. So I can only assume that this is leaking. And that's buried up in here somewhere, deep and bad. You'd think that a guy could just take this off and get right in there. I don't know if it's gonna work like that. Everything I've ever seen, you gotta take this entire dash off. The top part of the dash has to go away. The instrument cluster's gotta be pulled out. Gotta drop the steering column. Just gut it out, because realistically, the heater core, it's inside this box right here. And there's not a really good way to get that out of there from what they tell me. They say it's a 5.5 hour job. Yeah, the joys, but all this work will keep me from breaking down when I'm on the road. I'll be going, because it's gonna be brand new. So, let's get into her. Well, it's been 45 minutes for me. I must have read some bad information. Sure, I had to loosen up the dash a little bit, which involves taking all the screws out on the top. But see, I've got an aftermarket air conditioning. It's sitting right here. And you can see the hoses right there and there. This didn't come factory like this. So it makes it where I can't actually take the dash all the way out, unless I wanted to disconnect those, which I don't. I can open it up. I did have to drop the steering column some, because you got to get this loosened up over there. And to get the dash out, I don't really know why, or get the instrument cluster out, though I really don't know why. And it just kind of pooped out the bottom here. What does it look like inside there? Can we get it? What do we got to do to get it good look? Yeah, right in here. This is the blowy, the whizzy part. Take this guy, figure out how to get him opened up, and get a new heater core in there. Oh, what's that? Oh, God. Ish. Pull out about 10 of these fancy little 1/4 inch screws right here. Do a little prying on the thing, and voila. One here. Oh, what is this filth in here? So there's that knob. I wonder where it went. God. Yeah, that comes down through the Ishabod. And you can see it was definitely leaking. right there. That thing is bad. A couple of straps right here. Strap right here. Get that out. Filthy? Oh my goodness. Clean all this up, bolt all this back together, and away we go. New heater core is installed. We cleaned up the blower housing some, got the old dust out of there. The smells, you know, these doors would normally have some foam on them. So when they close, they seal tighter. And I don't know where to source foam at, so I'm not going to be able to do that. This door here would have foam on both sides. As it rolls through, it seals closed or it seals open. And we're going to just have a little bit of a leaky one, I guess. Yeah, it took an hour and a half to get the heater core out of there, but it took about two and a quarter to get it back in. There is a lot of stuff under that you take apart. Vroom, vroom. And ducts and little tiny screws. Lots of little fellers like this. My, what a hassle. But one more step to getting that cooling system going. Here's some of the inside-y stuff. Now that we can see the engine a little bit better. Apparently the original carburetor was stolen off of it, and then apparently I think the alternator was stolen off of it. Air cleaner was missing. None of this stuff was hooked up. None of the emissions was hooked up. The wires were laying all over the manifold, so we had to do that. And it had a spread board to stand square bore adapter, and I don't know. I never liked those because you lose the dual plane effect of the manifold by using those. That's why I went and put a new performer intake manifold on it. This was always here. Cleaned everything up, painted up the valve covers, and we were putting on the exhaust manifolds. We are getting close to getting this thing fired up. We need to get the radiator put in it now. Repaired wiring for things here, and just so much stuff. The dang oil pressure gauge isn't working on the instrument cluster. It's hanging over here in Netherlands. I tested the water temperature sensor. It works. This one might read a little off, but it does show. But this is one big gauge. I got this. This is just loose. I can take this off. One giant gauge. Now, if this was a square body Chevy, I could just buy just this one. But no. And these are like, I can't find them. Of course, I only looked at one place, but I gotta keep digging around because those are important. I don't really want to put an aftermarket gauge in it. I want it stock and simple. Well, there's a good chance I got it figured out. I took the bezel off of it so I can get in there and start rooting around, seeing what's going on, and the needle was stuck on the pin. It's got a pin that it stops against right there. And when it's grounded up to the sending unit, it's at 0. And if it loses its ground, it goes all the way over there. And I can't start the engine right now because there's no radiator in it. And all my coolant and oil will fall out on the ground. But we might just have this. Holy moly. Super happy. Well, a couple hours later down the road, we've got this all back in, all put together the way it's supposed to. All the screws are there. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but we did throw another brand new exhaust manifold in on this driver's side also. One's bad, the other's bad. Plus we had to get rid of the air injection pipes. There's no way to take those out without destroying them. So throw one in. Had to do some customizing on the old throttle bracket holder up or over here. Every time you change out a carburetor, what is this? Oh, that's right. That's for the cigarette lighter. You always got to completely rewrite. Why can't Edelbrock make stuff where you buy it and it just all hooks up? No, you got to modify stuff until the cows come home. Spent some time getting that new radiator put in. That old one was so shot, they said they couldn't rebuild it. The copper was so thin that it was just absolute junk. So now that we've got all this buttoned back up, got our new heater core hoses on down over here. All the hoses are losing space. I gotta leave this washer bottle out because I gotta be able to get my timing light in down under. Wait a second, it's almost there, so we can time it. And I can't time it with the water jug hanging, washer fluid jug hanging out right here. I need to check that distributor. So we're getting ready to fill it up with some water. Got this one fuel line going up to the car. It's new. These ones, they're not. So we gotta replace those. Plus, down under here, this tank, it's full of gas that's 12 years old. And this is all this junk here. We need to get it replumbed up too. So if I don't do it now, I won't. This fuel line here, it's going to the generator. It's just flapping in the wind. But this horridness has got to be corrected. Fuel lines, they rot from the inside. This one's even disconnected here. And stuff flakes off and plugs up things. So we have to fix these fuel lines. And if I don't do it before I start it, I'll never get it done. So that's what I'm gonna hop onto now. Fixing all the plumbing from the other fuel tank and this fuel tank and get it going. Good Lord. This is what I had to take out of there. I don't know why, but they splice these lines every 2 feet, 1.5 feet, 3 feet. Hard, crabby. Oh God, this took like an hour and a half. Everything seems to take an hour and a half. Let me show you what it looks like underneath there. That's the stuff that we didn't use. That's some of my prettiest plumbing I've ever done. This is coming from the main tank in the rear into the through side that's always opened. This is coming off the auxiliary tank, which is just right here, which is closed until you electrify this solenoid. And then this comes out. This one here tees off, and it's going to go to the generator. Comes back around here. Now it looks kind of clustery because we have a return line. Why does this have a return line? Is beyond me. Return line coming from the fuel pump back to the tank, and then somebody's really shitty repair job on a brake line going right through there. So they all used to run real nice like this, and then somebody had to get in there and start hacking it up so it looks like that. But honest, this thing I cut out about 6 feet and just ran all brand new suction 3/8, return 5/16, and it goes up so far. It goes up almost to that shock that's over there. It's just so much. So we now got our fuel system. Well, this part back here all updated. Then we're going to check this solenoid, 12 volt to it, click, and if I see the liquid start coming through this one, you know, once I get this tank cleaned up, then we'll know we got dual tanks again. And the size of this tank, that thing looks like a 40-galloner. I'm not kidding you. And the one that's in the back, it's right there and there, and some of it right there where it ends. That booger, it's got to be another 40 gallons. That means let's see, 80 gallons, 8 miles to the gallon, 640 miles. Oh, sure. Oh yeah. Now we've got the new fuel system in. All the rubber's been replaced. Yep, it's almost go time. All we got to do is put in a little coolant. Well, it's raining on and off, on and off, on and off. Got a little lull. I just filled the thing up with coolant, so I got to just find out. We got all the fuel lines replaced, but they're got air in them, so I probably have to crank the hell out of it for a little bit to get her to go. I'm just not going to prime it. What is she going to do for us? Probably have to go until the battery's almost dead. Yeah, I should prime it. I mean, jeez. Well, it's just almost excessive now. Got oil pressure. It's a bonus. Well, it should be here by now. Let's take a look. See what's going on. I didn't plumb I plumbed my fuel lines in wrong. The fuel line going to the generator, I had to pinch that off, and then it sucked. Finally got going. But man, has it got a tick in it. Holy moly. I guess it had a tick in it. Huh. Didn't have that before. Jesus. We gotta get some coolant in there. I gotta fight around with some fluids right now real quick. Well, I think she's warmed up enough now. Let's get this icky old oil out of her. Blah. Put some freshy in it. Oh, shit. Man, that lifter was really rattly, wasn't it? I loosened up this oil filter a little bit. I ain't quite that strong. What a mess. Guys that never do this, you don't know what you're missing. Let's do everything right now. Mileage, date, down the hatch, little buddy. Get a little wetness. Oh yeah, new oil on the O-ring. That's the best way to get it. It's when you're filling up the filter. I'd like to tell you there's a very specific reason why I'm using this oil, but really the only reason I got it is because Derek uses it, and so it's like, and I had it laying around. YouTubers can't be all wrong. I guess she's gonna hold 5 quarts to start with. I might hold 6. And this is gonna go slow. See this little fella right here? Maybe I can get the guys in post-production to zoom in on that. Yeah, I forgot. I gotta put some power to that and a ground on that. Because this choke, it's still, you know, it ain't open yet. It's quite unhappy. But we're almost out of daytime right now. I am going to go and get some adult beverages and enjoy my Friday evening. I'm just super stoked that it's running. That sticky lifter was sure nerve-wracking though. My goodness. We gotta figure out what that fuel sucking problem was. I guess I plumbed something up. I need a one-way check valve or something. Probably another run to the automotive parts store tomorrow, I'm sure. It's about ready for its drive. It's first put back together, running like it's supposed to drive. I'm stoked. Yeah. I've had insurance and plates on it for a month now, so it's getting to be time. Yes. Fuel line's all hooked up to this finally for the first time for 20 years. I do got to admit that I warmed it up for like 30 seconds because I wasn't filming. I didn't push the button. But yeah, the reason that the fuel pump wouldn't prime is because I had this hose just disconnected, just laying flopping. I plugged this in. Now we're sucking fuel to this, and the engine up front is going to suck fuel because I don't have this line open. Yeah, everything's working out really good. Yes. See you in the morning. I will never be able to figure out why is it that the grease gun is always empty, and I don't barely ever grease anything. Boggles my mind. These Chevy vans here, they're the good ones. Where, you know, everything that moves on the front suspension has a grease zerk on it. So there is umpteen thousand places to grease this thing at. I ain't kidding you. Well, I gotta tell you, I'm a little disappointed with the engineers. Every suspension component on the front end had a grease zerk. And they were all timed, you know, where you can get right on them. And the grease went in nice and easy. So that means that that tells me that it's been maintained. Suspension components they move, but not that much. You know what moves a lot? U-joints. They're busy moving all the time. There wasn't a single grease zerk on there. They're all sealed up, non-serviceable. It's got three, maybe 4 in it. I wasn't counting. It's got a lot. It's 3 drive lines, slip joint. Oh, just when you think you get a win, and then they do something like that to you. Oh. Parked in a field long? Oh my. God, that's just nasty. Oh yeah, there we go. Golly. Must have been there forever. Oh no. Yep. Brakes. Turn the rotors, repack the bearings. We'll probably do that on Sunday, 2 weeks from now. This thing's got 2 newer tires on it. One was on the front passenger side, and the other new tire was on the outside dually on the driver's side. Just 2, and they match. They're the exact same. And I want to take it for a drive. So I want to put my best tires on my steer axle. That's what they call it. Up front here. Because we got backups in the back. There's like a spare tire on each side, built in. So I'm playing switch around, put these nice ones up here, get the air pressure checked in them, They're a little on the low side. I gotta get back into these brakes. I'm all out of anti-seize. Normally I'd put anti-seize on these threads here just for one extra. We're gonna catch that on Sunday, 2 weeks from now. At 36 pounds, yeah, I'd say they're a little low. PSI, just what the doctor ordered. One tire pressure checked, 5 more to go. Here's one of my pet peeves on dual tires on RVs. See the valve core is right here. We filled this one all the way up to 60 pounds because I think it's almost ready to I don't want to ask too much of it. But when I put this outer wheel on, I'm never going to be able to reach that. Ordinarily through these big holes you could, but then when you put these fancy dancies on, they sit in here like this, and it'd be like that. There ain't no way I'm going to stick my fingers in there and get to that son of a bitch. See, see, you can just, right there. No. You got to have RV valve extensions. Come on. You got to ask for that at the tire shop. You need big, long, they got to come out, something. They make a hose kit that you can screw a hose extension on with this. And then the other one, though, since the valve stem's actually going to be facing in towards the tire, and it's hard to get in there through these nasty little things. So you got to have valve stems that come around and they wrap around and stick out. Yes, you gotta go the extra mile. And tire shops usually, they don't do it for you. They'll work on it and then they'll cover it up, and you'll never be able to check your tire pressure. You gotta ask for it by name. RV dually valve stem extensions or long valve stems, please. So I'm down here and I'm jacking up this rear end with my favorite kind of jack, a bottle jack. And I rolled the wheels. Hear that funny noise? So I start checking new joints, because now's an excellent time, where you could shake everything. That one looks good. Come up over here to this one, is slip yoke, and everybody looks happy over here. And then you go, so that's the one coming right out of the tranny. That U-joint right there, it's shot. I just can't win. So if we throw one in, we might as well throw all 3 of them in. I think I'm gonna go to the VFW. I'm gonna think about this over some beers. And another shutdown. We just want to drive it. That's it. Golly, it's been so long. Let's go. See you tomorrow. So the day has finally come. We're going to pilot this thing down the road. I've been working on it on and off for 2 months now. And damn the U-joints. We'll make it a little bit in town till I, get around to getting a U-joint put in it, which has got to be soon. Got the little lady who's going to come along with us today. Let's twist the wick on her. Oh, listen to that. My goodness, good stuff. Put tunes in it too. But I can't play them because, Transmission kicked into gear, there's a bonus. I've only used it to drive around the yard just a little bit, going spot to spot. It was delivered to me. It was brought over by the guy that sold it, so I've just never, I don't know what it drives like. Gas gauge says it's got 1/4 of a tank. Do I believe it? Nah. So first thing we're gonna do is go get some ethanol-free, unleaded, super. Speedometer works. Brakes are all over. It's wandery. My camera mounts shake like buggers. Yeah, it's okay. I didn't know. This is the first time I've ever filmed driving down the road. Golly. Who needs these tires? Probably, yeah. They're all freaking flat spotted. Brakes, yeah. Turn signals working. So far, so good. I heard a 1-2 shift. That makes me happy. It's hard to find super without any ethanol in it. This is the one gas station that does have it. Yeah, it's one of those you can't put it full speed ahead. It'd take a long time if you're throwing 40, 45, 50 gallons in. I don't know how big it is. Uh-oh. Oh. That's once. Starter does that 2 more times. It's fired. Gas gauge went up. So that means it works. Pulls a little, oh yeah. She pulls when we step on the old brakeolas. Oh shucks. Suspension feels tight. Handles like a house in a mudslide. There we go. Let's get this road opened up. Goodness. This RV place up here is one of those giant corporate RV places. They offer 99-cent propane. I don't go here, but I'll go for 99-cent propane. Is this where you go for propane? It's also a dump too, right? That's what you got. That looks like too much of a hassle. They got people waiting in line and they're dumping their, We just lost the pop. The nice thing about that is that it's waterproof. There is some paper towels in here.
Where?
It's in the cabinet. We gotta stop and fix this.
I wanted that.
This we saved half of it. Dang it. We decided not to go to the gigantic RV place because the propane fill is also a sewer dump and a fresh water putter on her area. And it's like, well, my God, I'm not going to stand there for 2 hours. I guess they do that so you go inside and shop. So we just went around the corner to the old Ace Hardware. These guys will get us all whooped into shape.
There's 2 gallons in it.
That's just perfect. Well, things that we found out here. We're on a nice piece of blacktop. And the guy been underneath there to look at that tank and he wanted to condemn it because it's got rust on the outside. A lot of times guys will do that. I expected it. And he goes, you got something dripping over here. So I said, well, get out of the way. I'll crawl underneath there on the sweet blacktop, which is 10 times better than my gravel yard. And be gosh darned if the one fuel hose that I didn't replace, because it's the last piece of rubber that goes from the last metal pipe up onto the tank. And I'd have to drop the tank to replace this hose. It's leaking. Yeah. So, yeah, we got to drop the fuel tank, replace the last pieces of hose on that, which, you know, I'm glad it happened here. We need to replace all 3 U-joints. We're running on a bad one right now. What else have we found out that's broken? We need to get some towels in here for wet cleanup on aisle 4s. And maybe a starter issue. So. Oh, there it is, number 2. Yeah. Pull that starter out and get a new one. At least they give you a little heads up. We're gonna drive her back to the barn. Couple months worth of working on my punch list right here. This is things that I've got it broken down into categories of all the repairs that I've done or that need to be done or that I've noticed it has to be done, and it's pages and pages and pages and stuff. Yep, it's running, but we want it to run reliable. Here's some of the numbers that we've already spent on the thing to get her this far. Cooling system repairs, fuel system repairs, new battery, some new spark plugs, little ignition repairs, engine repairs, exhaust manifolds, intake manifolds, gaskets, fresh oil change, and some miscellaneous other stuff. Rearview mirrors, radios, some speakers, fixing up some of the little latches and things like that. Just things, stuff. Giving us the old grand total, $2,116.11. Just in repair. We're not even done. And mind you, I'm an RV repair facility, so I can buy parts from my local parts supplier at what they call jobber cost. Normally, take these numbers, double it, and that's what it would cost you if you're broke down on the side of the road trying to get this stuff fixed from another shop. And this doesn't include any labor. I mean, the labor, I bet you I've got 30 hours in on it so far. Hoofda. Makes them expensive. That's why you're going to want to do this yourself. I'm going to have to go back to work on other people's RVs so I can make some more money so I can buy more stuff for it. Tires, What else do we need? U-joints, drop fuel tanks. Oh, the list just goes on and on and on. But we're gonna get this thing reliable and on the road. I'm Ron with Ron's Classic RVs. Thanks so much for following along with this episode. See you next time.